I kicked things off last episode. Oh, are you muted?
It's time! Y'all know what the fuck going on? Oh, I'm so sorry.
No, you can.
Y'all know what's going on. Welcome back to episode. Oh, I think I lost my episode three of the Cul-Ture-Sac podcast. Jeremy Kins, one of the hosts. We got Eric to my left. Oh, I don't know to my left. I got Marco on my bottom, and I got Brandon on my bottom right. Woo! How's everybody doing today, bro?
Oh my
How's
god.
everybody doing today, bro?
It's been a great week. It's been an incredible week for me.
We had an incredible past weekend.
Yeah. This week went by pretty quick for me. I don't know if it went by slow or quick for any of you.
Honestly, bro,
It felt a
was
little
kinda-
slow. It was like in between. It was slow and fast
Really.
for me. Yeah.
Eric, how about you?
Uh,
It was a slow week.
It was a slow week for you?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I mean, we had a lot of announcements. We saw a new movie that came out. There's a whole bunch of movies coming out. This whole month is gonna be incredible when it comes to the movie theaters. But yeah, no, I'm Marble. I'm gonna introduce myself. It's been a great week. Like I said, Brandon, I want you to introduce yourself.
was Brandon Bamo, you guys would call me. Here I am. We're gonna talk about quite a few things that happened over the last weekend, and some that happened this weekend. You know, and we're pretty excited about that shit. Shit that's gonna be coming out later. Shit that's already came out. Just exciting things. Maybe we're talking about.
For sure. The first thing we're gonna talk about, I think we should just get started with the first thing we're gonna talk about. I'll give you a clue. The GOAT.
I like that shirt. Yeah.
This past weekend,
Oh yeah, buddy.
we
Holy
saw
shit.
Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, and this
Yes,
is a movie
sir.
I've been anticipating ever since the first one. The trailers have been great. I remember they delayed it a year, and I was so bummed out. But I'm glad to say that after 5 years, it has been worth it. I absolutely love this movie. From beginning to end, the animation was spectacular. It's as good as the reviews have been saying. It is incredible. The pacing is quick. Like, it's very, very quick, and you really don't feel the time. Especially after the second. So I've seen it twice. The first time, I was so overwhelmed because there was so many Easter eggs and there's so many like good story moments that happens that I was kind of like taken aback by how much there was on the screen. The second time I saw it, I was like, I knew what to expect, so it was actually a far better experience for me. I got to sit back and enjoy the story, and I'll be honest, it was even better the second time. I thought the characters, all of them were well developed. I thought Miles is such a great protagonist. I thought Gwen, her story was incredibly well told. I thought Miguel, I would argue he's probably the best part of the whole movie. I like, and yeah, for sure. Like, I think even though he doesn't get as much screen time as as Gwen or
Had hoped
Miles,
for.
yeah, like
Yeah.
everything you'd hope for as an antagonist, I think he delivered. The Spot,
sure.
I thought, went from like a Z tier villain to like an actual threat, and they actually made him work.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, they made him work.
And it's crazy how like
Yeah.
it's also crazy how like in the first movie like they foreshadowed it when they threw the bagel at him. So I thought that was really cool. Something so small in that movie for the next movie to base the villain on that. Like
Yeah,
it was just insane. I was at the edge of my seat personally watching this movie, and for you guys know that I'm not a huge well, compared to the rest of you guys, I'm probably like the lower tier in terms of knowing about superheroes and stuff like that, but it was incredible. Oscar Isaac was amazing. Jake Johnson was amazing. I loved all the cameos. That Donald Glover cameo was insane as well.
Right.
So it really shows that this movie can be a lot more than it already is now. If
Animated
you really
movie.
think about
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, it is a movie that gets better like every time you watch it because, um, like I said, the pacing is incredible. Like it like I don't think there's any like boring moments in the, because a lot of movies, like a lot of good movies have some boring
So,
moments.
and then it has, yeah,
Yeah, and this
like
doesn't
the
have
pacing sucks.
this
The
doesn't
movie.
have any of it. Everything, every like scene, every shot felt like it had a purpose, and I'm kind of taken aback by how well and here's the thing, like the first movie was so good to kind of like, and I don't know if I'm ready to say that this is better than the first one, but I need to see it one more time. But this is like a top 10, in my opinion, like a top 10 superhero movie. Um, but yeah, all right. So Jeremy, you already gave some of your thoughts. I don't know if you want to continue. Otherwise, we
All right,
can.
open discussion. I haven't heard anything from Eric and Brandon.
Yeah,
I would like to hear their opinions on it.
yeah, like if you guys want to carry it on, for sure.
Yeah, Cam, I would like to hear what you would want to say.
For sure. So, this movie, like my heart when Jeremy was saying, very fantastic. You know, those fucking, action right off the bat. You know, there was you start off with Gwen and like how, she's playing, Spider-Man or Spider-Gwen, I guess. And then it just opens up, with like Miguel popping in trying to help her because, you got like this ancient, well, not ancient, but like this medieval vulture style vulture.
Yeah, yeah,
And it's pretty cool because like, like we barely get to see like vulture. We've only seen him like what, like once in the, like in, what was it, Homecoming?
yeah, yeah.
And then we got to see him in that horrible Morbius movie. So just knowing that, we got like a little vulture scene, a little vulture action. It's pretty cool, because he's like a very like known character, but it's not like up there. So it's pretty interesting that they started off with that. But yeah, like me personally, my favorite part of the whole entire movie was honestly Miguel, just because Miguel's character is one of those like characters that like we all fuck with. He's like one of those like Ryan Gosling ass characters. You get me? Like, it's like, oh, this guy going in, he has a family that he loves and he lost. And then like when he finally got to like maybe experience that one more time, he noticed, wait a minute, something's off. It's not like, it's not all happiness. Just like how, like he gets what it is to be Spider-Man. That's the whole thing.
Right.
So for me personally, I loved Miguel. I thought he was a great like antagonist, even though for me he was the fucking GOAT. I was rooting for him, not even Miles.
Oh.
I fuck with Miles, but it's just something about Spider-Man 2099. Show him that shirt, Marco.
Yeah. No. I basically already showed the shirt. Is there anything else because in terms of the whole movie,
Yeah.
I think it's a co-lead. Like I think it's a dual protagonist thing. It's not just Miles' movie. I also
Yeah,
think
yeah.
it's Gwen's movie. Is there
Yeah, it's a
anything you can
Gwen's
say?
movie.
Yeah.
I mean, from
Just-
the
yeah,
jump, it was her movie
Yeah, it was
when
just
the
good from the-
movie began. So,
Right.
Yeah.
oh my god,
For
everybody's
me,
breaking up.
the cameos was a very, very special thing,
Yeah.
especially since we had the spectacular Spider-Man.
Yeah. Yeah.
When we finally got that, we finally got to see the GOAT in action, and it's been like since like what 2008, since season 2 that they like left them off, and they kind of like left off like in a cliffhanger,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
which sucks. Spectacular Spider-Man. We discussed this yesterday. At the gym when fucking Jeremy, Spectacular Spider-Man sucks. Blasphemy. What was that?
Bro, he sucks. He looks like he has Asperger's, bro.
We're not gonna let that slide, bro. I'm not
Bro, I
letting
don't
that
care,
blasphemy
bro. You
slide.
are gonna let it slide, bro. That guy was so
No,
ass,
I'm
bro.
not,
He's
bro.
not
How
ass,
can you,
he's not
bro?
seen it.
How
What
can
are
you
you
take
talking
him
about?
serious?
You haven't
How can
What do
you
you
take him
mean?
serious? Bro, every time, bro, I would see him.
If you see the show, you'll know exactly what I mean.
I ain't gonna
That
lie. I heard
show
he got
is
that dog in him though. I heard he got
Yes,
that
he
dog in
pulls.
him though.
He pulls
got
Leonard
that
and
dog.
Twine.
He is the dog.
He
Oh, he's
pulls
the dog
Leonard
like
He
and
is
that?
the
Twine.
dog. He is the dog. That man is the spider is. That's what that is.
Yes.
But realistically, though, it was pretty great seeing that cameo because that show to me has a special place in my heart. You
Right.
know,
Right. Yeah.
like when it starts in the that goaded intro to just like the story itself is it's well arranged. So just seeing that felt like I got happy as fuck, and I got to see him. I was like, yo, like imagine like every time I'll see like a new cameo, and I was like, yo, look, it was fucking Andrew. Oh look, it's fucking Spectacular Spider-Man. I'll be getting more like, oh look at this shit, look at the goat, look at the goat. So for me, it felt very good just knowing that like all these like Spider-Man were there, and like all these like little references and cameos. It just you know it brought up like that inner child in me. You know,
Yeah.
I'm just hoping for a sequel for the last one. Me and Marcos, we're hoping for this shit. We're hoping for that fucking unit of the 90s anime to pop up.
Oh yeah. I want to see '90s
I bet.
animated.
Yeah, man.
Um.
Yeah. I mean, we got to see Ben Riley and Unlimited, so like, imagine, we're just waiting on him.
Yeah, so this is a movie that has two writers that are synonymous with always working together on everything, which is Christopher Miller and Phil Lord. Phil Lord is actually from Miami, and they've actually worked on the amount of projects that they worked on is so interesting. We're talking about they've worked on both 21 Jump Street and 22 Jump Street. They were the writers for both. They worked on a really underrated show called The After Party, which I binge watched the whole thing in one day because of how much I liked it. They've done the Lego movie. We're talking about they've worked on Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. So to see these two work together from the beginning, it was just amazing. And the fact that they, personally speaking, I feel like they really did outdo themselves compared to the first one. We're talking about the opening weekend, they made around 120.5 million. And internationally, including everything, we're talking about around 208, 209 million. So I feel like those numbers are ludicrous compared to what the first one did when it came out, especially with the state of movie theaters are at right now. Besides that, I remember when we did the podcast from last week, the one thing that I was really, really looking forward to, I told Marco was Miguel, just because I felt like Miguel was one of the more. If we were to put a comparison to him, he's pretty much the Batman of all the Spider-Men. Very, very serious. Everything's strictly business with him. And I also felt like the one thing that I liked was I felt like they made Miles more mature, while also like the comedy relief was there, but it didn't feel like it was overwhelming. It didn't feel like it was annoying. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Like he grew up a little bit.
Yeah, and it was kind of cool to see how they made Miles in the sense that he went from like I thought he'd be really, they showed in the trailer that he might have had some issues with his parents, but I thought the issues that he had with his parents, he wasn't like your prototypical teenager just rebelling. You know what I mean? It was really cool to see. He was really well written, even better than the first, the Into the Spider-Verse. And then for me personally speaking, I just felt like whenever Miguel O'Hara was on the screen, I felt like he stole everything. He stole the show. I felt like everybody was trying to see what he was saying or what was he going to do next. Just the way his entrance, his opening, the theme song, the score that they made for him when he first came in through that time portal was insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, his theme song's the GOAT.
I'm hearing it more on TikTok, which is crazy.
Like the dragon, like the Goku meme that you showed me yesterday with his theme.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think one thing that was really cool also was his physical appearance is so much different than the other Spider-Man.
Yeah,
and it's
especially
because,
since the first one too.
Yeah, the way he
bulked up, bro.
Yeah, because I think they wanted to do something more physically different. Because remember, his powers are a lot different than any other Spider-Man. His DNA is spliced with an actual spider. So nobody really knows this. The way spiders are able to climb walls is because they have these little, almost like hook-like claws on the bottom of their toes, their feet, and he actually has those which is a theory as to why people were saying that he looks so much bigger now because he doesn't just stick to walls. They've made him like an actual spider. So I thought little details like that were pretty dope. One thing that I felt like they did so well was the pacing. I felt like the pacing for this movie was 10 times better than the first one. Not saying that the pacing for the
100%.
first one, not saying that the pacing for the first one was bad, but because since this is the sequel, I feel like since the world is already established, there was a lot less to explain and a lot more to get into.
Yeah.
Yep. Just like straight action.
Yeah, and overall, like one thing that really impressed me was that scene, which I actually saw that they came out with that they announced that they were talking about how that scene, that train scene, that chase,
Mm-hmm.
they
It
said
took
that
like
took
4 years to make.
yeah, and that scene was funny enough. The scene where I looked at it and I was like, "Oh shit! I forgot I'm watching an animated movie." Because when they were on the train, if that was like a Tom Cruise movie or a movie with Brad Pitt, if they were on the top of that train, I'd be freaking out because I'd be like, "Oh, I don't know what's gonna happen." And I was seeing them on that train going hundreds of feet up in the air, and I felt claustrophobic because they kept on changing the panel from them on top of the train to then showing how far they were from the ground.
Right.
And I had to remind myself, oh shit, this is an animated movie. There was not one
Yeah.
time in that movie where I thought, damn, I want to get out of this movie theater. Because there's times when you're in a movie theater, sometimes the chairs are a little uncomfortable, your ass hurts, you gotta take a piss. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Like, no, I get you, bro. Like when we went to go see Ant Man or Doctor Mid, I wanted to leave like 20 minutes in.
Those seats are pretty bad, bro. Those seats
I
are
Yeah,
don't think it was the
Let's
awful.
see.
seat.
Um.
yeah, I definitely think that I don't know. I just felt like the other thing was I felt like Miguel and Miles. So in the beginning of the movie, I was worried that this was gonna feel more like a Miles movie, a Miguel movie. I mean, just because he stole the spotlight every time he was on screen. But then when they had to, when he was at the Spider-Man headquarters, pretty much, um, and they were explaining the whole timeline situation and the way Miles' response, spoiler alert, by the way, Miles' response was very, it made sense, you get me? How would anybody feel knowing that, hey, look, you just gotta accept the fact that your dad is gonna die? You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
It.
So I felt like,
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
wait,
Go ahead.
no, 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 what were you saying? I wanna know.
I'm just it. Yeah, I was gonna bring that up. It's stuff like that that makes a movie so great when it can have other people debate how like about other people's ideologies, right? Because I see a lot of comments on TikTok and on YouTube, like arguing like, oh, is Miguel right? Right? Like, like is Miles right for wanting to save his father? And then you have other people like, no, I think Miles is being a little selfish because, and I think Miguel is in the right. Like I see like a lot of debate, right? Like I see a lot of people on the side of Miguel because if Miles saves his father, he can potentially destroy the universe. And obviously, like a lot of people were kind of complaining about Peter B. Parker, how he sided with Miles.
Hmm.
He sided with at the beginning. He sided with Miguel,
Miguel.
but like if you watch the movie, like he was there when like the whole universe was getting erased in terms of Miguel's like his world. Like Miguel
Yeah.
brought him in to save everybody, and he saw firsthand what happens, and he saw the whole world get erased. So that kind of explains why. But then but you see people debate like is Miguel right or is Miles right, and it causes a great conflict, and that's what a lot of good movies should a lot of good movies should do that. So I'm very happy that they brought that complex theme into it.
Yeah, and that feels like something that we haven't gotten in Marvel movies in a while, which are these complex layered characters. I feel like the last time we really got that was Civil War, where we
Oh
really
yeah,
saw two ideologies that were completely different. Or I mean, Black Panther also was
yeah,
with Killmonger and Black Panther was another one because that was one of those movies where um, I don't know. It's really nice to see that things aren't always going to be fully black and white, which is exactly how some of these, because if we go based off of comics, there's so many comics where there's such a clash of ideologies, so many conflicts. We're talking about, if we're being technical, Batman, Bruce Wayne is like the biggest douchebag on the planet. You know what I mean? That guy's
He's
a
always letting
fucking.
the Joker live, but he's
He's
always
a
like, "Oh, if I kill him, it's like an equal amount of killers." It's like, yeah, but you know, at the end of the
yeah,
day, what you see, it's just like he doesn't want to do it, but he's kind of like selfish for not doing
yeah,
it. And like another complex scenario thing like that was with No Way Home also. You know how like at first they were like, oh, we gotta help him out because like he thought, they're not that bad guys, but then they were just acting and they were pretending to be that, and they were like, no, we're gonna kill them, and it's like, no, we're gonna save them. I don't know, it was like back and forth, and then at the end, they ended up
yeah,
just sending them back.
yeah. And those are the
But
things that those are the things that I feel like you see that with Spider-Man a lot, where like there's so many different varieties. Like that movie really showed how Tom Holland's Spider-Man was still naive and a child, pretty much. You know what I mean? He didn't really see enough to realize the calamity of everything that was happening around him. Thinking about it, that's kind of how I view like Miles' character because also remember when we had this theory that Miles was gonna do something that was gonna fuck up everything and that's why Miguel's after him. It kind of became this
yeah,
thing. It kind of like made sense to me where it was like, oh, when we saw him go inside the portal, in my head I was like, oh great, he's just gonna follow her just to chase her. You know what I mean? But then you understood
yeah,
then you understood why he went to go help, because then it ended up not being about Gwen. It ended up being about actually helping out. So I thought things like that. He didn't feel like your typical. I thought he was gonna be like an Ash Ketchum, bro. No personality, vain as fuck. A little bit of you get what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that. That's
bro, why are
always
you hating on Ash out of nowhere, bro?
nah, man. That man has no sense of loyalty to his Pokemon, bro. But
Already
but
told
yeah,
Pikachu the full years.
but yeah. What happened to Charizard and Sceptile, bro?
Hey man, we're not gonna get into that, bro.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah,
talking about
exactly.
Spider-Man here.
But for me, one thing that I really enjoyed too was I really thought I was not gonna enjoy the part where we dive deep a little bit into Spider Gwen's origin, not because of who the character is, but because I feel like sometimes in movies, especially with superhero movies, we focus too much on one thing and then we end up feeling like something else is missing from another part of the movie. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
And I feel like the other thing I didn't realize Into the Spider Verse. I was watching the first one after we watched this one. They hinted that her Peter Parker was Lizard the whole time.
In the first one, yeah,
Yeah.
they did. They did.
Yeah,
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
first one, yeah.
He had scales and everything. I didn't see it because you guys know I'm as blind as a fucking Sasuke without the shouting gun and shit. But for me, man, the other thing that I enjoyed too was I really liked the fact that they when she was talking to her dad and stuff, and she hugged her dad. It just goes back to like the brilliance of everybody on that team, where you saw the warm colors start to come out after she hugged her dad, and things like that. That's the thing, right? So Jack Kirby is synonymous with Spider-Man. I think he has such a big importance to Spider-Man the character as Stan Lee. Those are two people that really made Spider-Man the character that he is, and I love how colorful and vibrant um, the Spider Verse is, which reminds me a lot of the actual comics. You know what I mean? I feel like it's an ode to the comics with a twist
Yeah.
of a little bit of modern.
You know which one it kind of reminds me of? I don't know if you guys ever played the Ultimate Spider-Man game on
Yeah, those
PS2
games.
and GameCube.
That
Yeah,
game
it
was
kind of reminded me of like those colors.
yeah, man. This movie was amazing. I feel like the only thing that I feel like people have a lot of had like quips about was just the ending, just because the way it ended was. I noticed what was
Yeah,
strange.
cliffhanger.
The moment that they announced there was going to be a trilogy, the on like opening day or the day after, I knew we were going to be in for it was going to end in a way that a lot of people were going to be like, "What the fuck happened?"
Well,
Yeah.
well, originally this was a part one. Like, originally the title for this was
Yeah,
Across the Spider Verse Part One. So yeah, it was always gonna be like a two-parter. Um, but this, I remember the director said that this is gonna be like the Empire Strikes Back, and I agree with them. Like after seeing the movie twice, I 100% agree, and and I know it does end in a cliffhanger, but like like all the arcs, well, all the major arcs have been resolved. Like I'm pretty like there's a reason why they told Gwen's story first, and it has a lot of plot
I mean,
implications. Like what happened?
I was gonna say something about now that you brought up the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
I think the beginning of the movies, in some way, it kind of felt like a recruitment pitch to all the other Spider-Mans to make the team. Because remember, at the end of the movie, Gwen is there with Peter and Nor Spider-Man, and the I forgot the name of the Indian Spider-Man, and Penny was there, and a couple others, and
Oh,
Spider-Ham. So it was kind of like it kind of built up
Well, I mean,
like
well,
how the beginning. Because remember at the beginning, it showed everything that happened to Miles in the movie. Like not everything, but like
all the
certain
important
plot points
all
and
the
stuff
important stuff. Yeah.
from Gwen's point of
yeah.
view. So Gwen's point of view, to me, she was pretty much explaining to all the other Spider-Man, "Oh, look, this is what happened. I need to form a
Oh.
team." Because remember, she's always had an issue. She's always had an issue with joining the band. Remember when she was in the band at the beginning of the movie as well?
Yeah. And I was gonna bring
She
that up
left. She quit the
because
band.
that was her character arc. Like at the beginning, she has at the beginning she's by herself and she has trouble finding like a band, right? And then by the end of the movie, she forms her own band, and that's her character arc
No,
completed. Her character arc completes the second she talks with her father, right? And they have that resolution. So yeah, like, and with Miles, obviously his character arc completes like in the train when he said, "Nah, I'm gonna do my own thing," and then he just, he electrifies
Yeah.
Miguel. That's where his arc ends. Um, and the beginning of Gwen's arc, like the first like what 15 minutes of the movie, was so important because it explains why she joins the Spider Society. It explains why she even goes to Miles to his world, right? It explains why Miles even goes to the Spider Society. It sets up everything, so it's actually very important. It's very important, really, in the grand scheme of things. So yeah, it's really well done.
She's a fucking snake.
What happened?
She's a fucking snake. She did my boy dirty. I didn't
One?
feel sympathy for her. Yeah, I didn't feel sympathy for her at all. That's another thing I liked. I liked how Miles didn't really forgive her dumbass. I appreciated that shit. I'm being
He
so
would have
real,
let
bro.
that
He
bitch
said
snap
bye.
off the
He said
bridge.
goodbye. He said he's like bye Gwen, and then he leaves.
Yeah, and her dumbass was looking at him like, "Damn, you really gonna leave without me? What you think, bro? You're the one that put me in this predicament." Stupid ass bitch. I mean, all jokes aside, though, I do kind of feel like what was interesting. I don't know if you guys felt this way. I feel like each Spider-Man, with the colors that were presented around them, with the score that was presented around them, it was so interesting because Peter B. Parker felt so warm and felt innocent, like childlike for me in the sense that he just was so likable, and it was kind of like
You're right.
when you saw him on screen, you didn't think of Uncle Ben tragedy, you didn't think of this is a broken character, you didn't think any of that. You just thought of like, oh, this is that's the type of Spider-Man you thought you were gonna see in the in an animated movie for kids. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then
Yeah,
he's
he
so
becomes
very
a father.
lighthearted.
Yeah, he becomes a father.
And then with Miles, I always felt like with Miles, you got that relatability of like a young Spider-Man. You know what I'm trying to say? And then
Yeah.
with Gwen, you could tell from the moment we see her character, there's so much complexity with her. But it was so cool that like when Miguel was on screen, he just felt unpredictable. Like
Yeah.
I always like he had this thing about him where it felt like you didn't know what I. There was times where I was thinking to myself, is he even on the same team as these guys? You know what I mean?
Right.
Just
Yeah.
not, but that was before I found out the whole context of everything. But it was more just because he feels so primordial. We saw him when he was going against the Vulture from a different universe. You saw how he bared his fangs, and it was like he was about to fucking inject him with venom.
Yeah.
Uh, that was something that was really dope that they brought that to light. One thing that I wanted to talk to you guys about: where do you think this movie leaves this next part three coming out? This trilogy.
I personally, I was kind of like reading, and I kind of like just on Twitter and like just TikTok because that's like literally what my shit is right now. It's just into the Spider Verse and all the movies that are coming out this month actually, because we still have Flash and hopefully Transformers to go see. Um, but I feel like it's gonna be kind of like how the '90s did, where it was a whole bunch of Spider-Man. Technically, that was the first Spider-Verse in a way. You know what I mean? So I feel like they might introduce like other characters. That's why I brought up earlier the '90s anime Spider-Man. They might. I feel like they could introduce Madam Web somehow. That'll be pretty good.
Okay. As for me, I think they're gonna. I think well, Spot is gonna have a far bigger role this time. Uh, I don't know if his dad's gonna die, essentially, but
I have a theory about that. Yeah.
I think
I
the
have a
hint.
feeling he is though.
I think the hint was when Gwen
No.
talked to his dad, and his dad is like, I quit the force," and nothing really happened. I think there's a hint there in that conversation that they had at the very end that would lead into the next movie. Which if it
Yeah.
is, that's great foreshadowing. I think, and the foreshadowing is what this franchise does extremely well. We saw a lot of hints from the first movie that lead into this movie. Um, but yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's how it's gonna play out.
But you know which one I saw that was pretty cool, like foreshadowing, because we didn't get to see it until this movie.
Yeah.
It was with the OG Spider-Man, the one that died in Miles' universe, the perfect Spider-Man.
Yeah.
The little blondie
So if
boy.
you saw yeah, there was a part where it was him and Miles, and it was like the first time I guess like that they met or something, and it was like before he died. It was they showed Miles and they showed like the background colors. It was green and purple, so it was signifying that he was supposed to be Prowler. And then it changed completely, and it went from green and purple to blue and red. And then you see Spider-Man,
Yeah, in
who's
the
just
first
blue and
movie.
red also. Yeah, and like I was looking at like comments and like people that I saw on Twitter. I was like, oh, like the foreshadowing on this was great. It didn't make sense until now. You see the colors, and it was that he was the Prowler originally. Then it switched into the Spider-Man because he wasn't supposed to be Spider-Man. He was supposed to be the Prowler.
Yeah, and I think that's actually a good thing. I feel like that's probably why we see towards the end of this movie when he's in, I believe it was Universe 42, Earth 42. He looks like fucking Carmelo Anthony towards the end of that shit. And
The braids and shit.
yeah, but the other thing too was one thing that I really loved about the first one. Like I said, I rewatched it. Was with the Perfect Spider-Man. I felt really bad for him just because when he was in the middle of fighting Goblin, he goes, "Oh, I'm so tired,"
Yeah.
and I felt like it almost felt like I don't know. So my theory with this new movie coming out, I read a little bit of the Miles Morales comics when they first came out, just because you guys know I'm a proud Puerto Rican, so I was really curious to see what was this adaptation that they were gonna do. And one thing for me was in the comics, Miles' mom actually dies.
Yeah.
So
Well, isn't it both his parents?
nah, it depends. There's a couple comics where what she dies, and I think he dies in
Yeah.
another one. But for me, I remember when they were at the HQ, they showed his dad dying, and they said it's a part of the timeline.
Yeah, it's a canon event.
Yeah.
I think it's generalized in the sense that I think one of his parents have to die. So I think he's going to focus so much on saving his dad that his mom ends up dying, and that's how the universe gets saved. So that's my
way of
view.
putting it.
I feel like, and I also feel like Miguel's going to come around, and I also feel like there's a possibility that Miguel dies in order to redeem himself somehow with everybody else. Just because, think of it like this: his universe is erased. He's technically the only anomaly in his timeline. So I feel like something's going to happen where he's no longer going to be around to fully end his own timeline. And one thing I think the movie did really well also, it made us forget about Spot.
Yeah.
To the very end.
Because we
when
were
they
so
showed him
focused on
again.
Miguel.
Yeah, to the very end when he came out.
Yeah, it made you focus on everybody else instead. You were like, oh shit, is Gwen going to get there on time? Where's Miguel? Whereas, so it was really good. I really enjoyed that. But that's my theory for this movie. I think Miguel possibly dies just because since his whole timeline is erased, and what's the point of someone from a different timeline being around? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because technically,
Yeah.
that's also a blimp in the timeline as well. You
Yeah,
know what I
because
mean?
he has nowhere to
You
go
know,
to.
Yeah, and he's in a
yeah. You
parallel
know what I
universe.
have you know what I have
Yeah,
a question for though. So
what's up?
did Indian Spider-Man, did he end up like,
Now we don't even
Nah, he's
know.
alive. Nah, he's alive. He was alive at the end of the movie.
was he?
Yeah,
Yes, bro. He was with Gwen.
yeah,
He was
yeah.
with Gwen when
I didn't
she went to
I
go
didn't even
recruit
notice
all
him.
of them.
Yeah,
He
that's right.
survived. But
Right,
what do
I
you
didn't
mean?
even
What
notice
part?
him.
No, I don't even remember that part of the
It was
movie. He
on
was
Earth.
good
Bro,
after the.
when when his world was like getting fucked
Oh
up, you
yeah,
know?
we didn't get an
I was like,
update
yo,
on
did
that,
like
but
he died?
I'm assuming yeah, we didn't get an update on that. But at the end of the movie, I definitely saw him at the end of the movie. Like he's the part of the squad.
It
I
could still
hope
be.
B was there as
Yeah,
well.
It could still be that they're still working on it, but it like as of right now, that like a lot is still left up in the air. But
Yeah.
yeah,
the important thing is that like all the like a bunch of the character arcs was completed. Like all the really important stuff were tied in this
And
movie, but they still have enough to kind of carry on to the next movie.
for sure.
oh, and one thing that I also enjoyed too was Spider-Man Noir showed up towards the end.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yep.
The OG
I
crew
And
pretty
remember.
much
Spider-Ham
showed
too.
up. Yeah,
I
Yep.
remember. I remember they said Nicolas Cage wasn't going to be here for this movie, so I was kind of bummed out. But
yeah,
so hopefully he's going to be coming back to voice him. I think this third movie is going to be really interesting. I think this is going to be. I have a feeling this is going to start with just a bunch of bad shit that already happened, and we're going to go
Hmm.
back in time to see how it happened, and then we're going to go back to the present towards the end of the movie.
I think it's gonna start with
Uh,
Miguel.
yeah, it'd be dope. I feel like we need to get a little bit more Miguel because I felt like I mean, I'm gonna be honest. I know he was a really successful character, but I don't know if Sony really expected so many people to talk about him the way that the way everybody did.
I'm happy they're
Bro, the
talking
thing
about him.
is, remember, people, bro, speaking of which, I was gonna mention that because, like, I don't know, it was like how we said when we talked about it yesterday. It was with Complex News and shit that they had posted, like, oh, which was your favorite Spider-Man? Obviously, you know, me and Marco, we had to pick the GOAT, you know? Yeah. And,
It was a
you
toss
know,
up for
Jeremy,
me.
he picked, yeah, I for sure knew who I was gonna pick. I've always fucked with Spider-Man at 2099 just for, like, my reasons being that, like, you know, he's from the future, kind of resembles and gives off like that Batman Beyond type vibe. So that's why I fucked with him. You know, the PS3 games that came out like in the early 2010s.
Edge of Time,
Those, you know,
Shadow Dimension.
yeah. So we've had our own like representation of Miguel since, you know, for like almost like 15 years now, even longer than that. You know, so that's why I fucked with him. A lot of people fucked with Hobby and or Hobie. I don't know how Hobie,
Are we to go?
Hobie. Look, I personally, I thought Hobie was a good character. The only thing was, he wasn't like he was just good as a side character.
I just
That's
love
for
the
me.
way
It
the
was just good
character
as a
was,
side
though.
character.
So,
The thing was, like, he just kind of he barely spoke. I mean, it was just
yeah,
He was just so
he was
nonchalant. He
trying to be
didn't give
like
a
an
fuck.
nah,
And
bro. He
low
was just
key,
trying to be
and he was
like he was
doing
like the
shit,
edgy
but he
character.
was doing stuff behind the
so,
scenes, though,
so
bro.
yeah. So I actually thought that was pretty cool because I felt like because we know the fact that he wasn't around for the majority of the movie. I love how there were so many callbacks back to him towards the movie in general, towards
Right.
the whole span.
Yeah.
So it was like he had a bigger impact than he was supposed than we assumed. You know, this movie was really good at making you forget things because of so
Mm-hmm.
much going on. And then the other thing that I really enjoyed also was I don't know. I just feel like Spider-Man 2099 was one of those characters that Marvel went through this weird phase where they were trying to do this like future Neo thing.
Futuristic. Yeah, because they're trying to compete with like DC with Batman Beyond.
Well, I do know that Miguel came out before Batman Beyond, but it was just like there was Doom 2099, if I'm correct. There was Spider-Man 2099. There was Venom 2099. There was a bunch of like I actually feel like maybe DC kind of copied Marvel in that aspect. And you guys know I'm a DC
Yeah.
elitist, but
Yeah.
like Daniel said, is perfect because that's why DC is better than Marvel when it comes to comics and animated shows. Like you fucking think you think Miguel was copying fucking Terry McGinnis. That's how you know DC is better. But that's for another topic. But that what did for me, man, was just whenever we got Spider-Man 2099 in comics, movies, and even in the show in the 90s, I felt like we never got
Or in
enough.
games too.
Yeah, we
We
never
never
got
got like
enough.
a full backstory as much as to like
Yeah,
And I think
this
that's where
one,
we're
you
gonna,
know.
and I think that's where we're gonna get a backstory in the next movie. Like if you guys
Yeah.
remember,
Yeah.
like right when we meet him, like at the very beginning, he was gonna explain his backstory, and then Gwen cut him off.
yeah, yeah.
That
He
was
was like,
intentional because they're gonna do that in the next movie.
I would love that. And the thing is when we saw him in video games and in the show, I don't know how you guys felt about it. I kind of felt like he was a little obnoxious because it was
Yeah.
always like, oh, he's like Edge Lord 9000. Like this man listens to Playboy Cardi, bro. Like that. That's how they're
Not
trying to
even,
make.
bro.
You even see with the edit, it's always him with the fucking helicopter crashing, and he's walking towards the helicopter pad, and then they put the Playboy Cardi song. I'd rather die than come in
That
last.
was regular Spider-Man
Yeah,
though. That wasn't
I
2099.
No, it was 2099.
Really?
Because it's a scene where you could play as either or. There's 2099
Ah.
and regular.
I've
But
only seen the one of him as like the regular Spider-Man.
yeah, I've seen the Miguel one too. But I wanted to ask you guys from 1 to 10. For me, this movie's a 9. The only reason it wasn't a 10 was just because I felt like it should have maybe ended on a better on a
Better note instead of a hit cliffhanger like that.
it should have ended on a better cliffhanger. A better cliffhanger.
I think the
Yeah.
cliffhanger was good though. Why did you guys think that it was?
I thought the cliffhanger.
I
Was
felt
great.
like
I thought it was
I
lit.
felt-
I saw
okay,
Marco's
so for
face.
me-
Marco was like,
Yeah.
nah, bro. For me, I got mad because like
Why'd
if
you
they
get
would have
mad?
done like a little, bro. Look, let me explain. So
I
look,
could understand why.
I feel
they
like
did that.
Eric. So I was there, and they were already building up a little piece to that. You know, they were getting there, right? So they're climbing that cliff. You feel me? But the thing was, they just kind of like said to be continued, and that's it for me.
Yeah,
So
it felt.
that's why I got mad. I was like, yeah, like they could have like done a little scene, and then end like, oh shit, is this guy gonna get hurt, or is this what's gonna happen next?
You know,
And then they could
yeah.
have just cut it off. But they
I mean,
just
I
kind of
think-
like
"Wait, what do you
showed the
mean? You
OG
didn't
crew.
see?" But you didn't see the end, like with
That's what he was
with
saying.
Miles.
They
when
just that. So you just see the OG crew. They're like, oh, let's go save the universe or whatever the fuck that they said. I forgot what it was. But so instead of just there and then it just cuts to black and it just has to be continued. Like they could have had a little bit different angle where it would have been ended in a cliffhanger. The cliffhanger is not the problem. It's just how Eric said they could have ended it a little bit differently, just so you know
It
the
just felt
next
so
scene
much.
you're like, yo, I'm ready for this shit.
Yeah, I think a best. I
Even
think
though
another.
we're definitely gonna be like that though.
Yeah, and I think another way they could have ended it was just Miguel showing up in front of the apartment, and then Gwen showed up in the apartment, and then Miles shows up to the apartment. Remember that scene? That would have been a good way to end it
Yeah.
instead. That would have been a better cliffhanger. I just felt like that cliffhanger was a little bit weird for me. It kind of felt like I was watching a fucking CW show when they do like a 3 episode event and shit like that. It felt it felt, it felt kind of late.
Arrowverse.
Yeah, don't. It felt very Arrowverse, but yeah. So I gave it a 9 out of 10. Miguel is daddy. Miguel
Oh,
is
yeah.
gold.
Poppy, not daddy.
I already pre-ordered. Yeah, 'cause my boy's Mexican like me, bro. I want.
People are gonna be like, people are gonna ask us later, like, yo, didn't this motherfucker said he was Puerto Rican, bro?
What are you?
I cannot. I am everywhere, but nah. Yeah, I feel like I already pre-ordered the Hot Toys Miguel O'Hara figure. I pre-ordered a couple things from Miguel. I bought a shirt, but I was gonna ask you. It was a 9 out of 10 for me. What about you, boys?
I agree with you also on that one. I told Jeremy even like when we came out, he's like, oh, like he had asked me, he's like, oh, what would you rate it? I'm like, oh, it's a solid 9 out of 10 for me. Like it's like really good, like from start to finish. You know how I gave my explanation on why, I got upset just because of
Yeah.
the cliffhanger. I feel like if the cliffhanger would have ended a little bit better, my score would have probably been a little bit higher. Probably maybe the same, but that's for another universe. Me
Yeah.
to decide.
And what about
Marco,
you, Mark?
Jeremy.
This shit's a 10 out of 10. I thought I'll disagree. I thought the ending was perfect. I thought because it ends the way you want it to end. It ends the way it set up in the beginning. Um, at the beginning, she has trouble finding her own group of like her own band, and then at the end, like it ends with her finding her band. It ends with her trying to save
Yeah.
Miles, and it ends with like because all right, this Spider-Verse franchise is really like is only like three
Okay.
characters for me. Like, all right, so the main three is Peter, it's Miles, and it's Gwen, and that's how they ended it off, basically, right? And
Yeah.
I just thought
The first one? Yeah.
Yeah, no, well, I mean, this entire franchise is basically them three. Obviously, Miguel is probably gonna be a fourth, like the fourth. Probably the most,
Recruitment.
yeah, no. Well, in terms of most important, he's probably gonna be the fourth one. But in terms of the big three of this franchise,
Yeah.
is them three, and I thought the way they ended it was perfect because it ends with it ends with Peter, kind of switching up on Miguel. He's gonna wanna now save Miles. With Gwen, obviously her character arc completed, and we're gonna go on a new story. And with Miles, like he basically he figured out what he wants to do, right? So all the character arcs are completed, and the ending is basically just them going on a new adventure. And I thought the ending was perfect. Overall, I don't really have any issues with it. I don't know if I can find any plot holes with this movie. I have to maybe watch it a couple times, but I don't know if I can find any plot holes or any inconsistencies. The
Yeah.
character arcs were
The next
great
time we watch it, we're gonna watch it special.
in the clouds, yeah,
Special.
in the cloud, yeah. But I
On
again,
Nimbus.
the drama was the conflict was very complex, but it didn't feel like either of them was in the wrong. Like obviously Miguel has his priorities straight, and you can't really disagree because
He
he's
just
trying to save the universe, but then Miles is like he's trying to save his dad. And so the conflict is incredible. The score, I know Eric already mentioned it. The score was incredible. The soundtrack is great. The actual composition and the score was also I thought it was better than the first in terms of the score. The soundtracks in terms of the
Of
music.
course, our
In terms
boy
of the-
pulled up.
Right, in terms of the music, like the actual like tracks, like with the songs.
Metro.
It's very good. I don't know which one I prefer, but that just goes to show how good both of them are. Animation.
I was gonna
top
ask that
tier.
question also.
nobody's gonna ask. Nobody heard my song on the movie, man. On the
Yeah,
soundtrack.
it's
I
incredible.
just said it. I just
Yeah.
said it, man.
Come
The
on.
voice acting, I thought that's another thing. The voice acting was extremely well done on every front. Everybody brought their A game.
Yeah, I was surprised because like I'm not gonna lie, Oscar Isaac didn't sound like Oscar Isaac.
He didn't.
He had-
Yeah, he didn't.
Everybody brought their A game. So yeah, no, for me, I might change my mind, but as of right now, like this is my second time seeing this movie. I'll give it a 10. I can't really find a single problem yet. I might have to
And I
watch
s-
it a couple more times. Jeremy?
And I spoke about this with Marco. I think me and Marcos agreed that this was probably the greatest superhero
I'll say-
animated superhero
Oh,
movie of all
animated,
time.
okay. I was gonna say in terms of overall, it's definitely in the conversation. But
It's definitely
animated,
there.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
I
And I'll
don't think
leave you
there's-
guys with.
What happened?
I'll go
I
Eric.
don't think there's a better animated movie than this. I think we all have our favorites, but
Right, I agree.
This was elite. This was elite.
And I leave you guys with this. There's a lot of things we didn't even get to talk about. Also, with the Venom, with the little scene with Venom and Spot, like with the what's the lady's
Venom.
name? No, the lady's name from
Oh,
from the store.
he's talking
From the
about
bodega.
When Spot goes into live action.
When Spot goes into live action at the shop, those are, and also
Oh yeah,
With Miss Shen,
the
Miss
old,
Shen.
the shop lady.
Yeah.
with Donald Glover as well.
That's
Which
mhm.
is a lot. I didn't hear a lot of people talk about that because from right then and there, think about movies that have live action with animation, like Who Framed Roger Rabbit, for example. Like this next movie, I think we're also as well going to see a live action Miles Morales. I think we're finally going to figure out who is going to be in that movie. That's just
Oh,
my personal opinion.
I hope not.
I would really hope
I personally hope is who he said it was yesterday at the gym.
Miles
Because I
Brown,
think that would be the
cause
perfect.
Miles
Yeah,
Brown.
bro.
I'll say this about
It makes a lot of sense. The kid's 18 years old. He's Afro Latino like
Right.
Miles Morales, and he actually looks like him too, bro.
all right.
And
And he's a
Yeah.
young guy.
So the final thing I'm gonna say on this is I hope they don't do what some people have been thinking, of having the third one end with Miles transferring into live action. I don't want that. I think
That'd be
I wouldn't
Yeah.
want that. I would want him to meet his live action like counterpart and
I mean,
at least
yeah,
get some advice or something. But to end the movie like in that way,
No, because
Yeah.
animation. This animation is something special. I don't want it to be, especially if they're gonna put it in the MCU. No, keep this away from the MCU. Keep this away from live
That's
action.
the thing. What worries me is that knowing Sony, they'll do it.
That'll piss me off. But I'm gonna give
Yeah,
them the
but to
benefit
end
of the
the-
doubt. But I don't want that to happen. That's all I'm gonna say.
yeah. But to end the movie
'cause-
off like that, I don't think it's
I mean,
it's a good idea.
I don't think it would be smart.
I also do feel like maybe they put themselves. The one thing that was strange, I do feel like maybe they put themselves against the wall because of the fact that, so I don't know, because it is animated. I felt like it was weird seeing like scenes of Toby Spider-Man and Andrew Spider-Man, because I felt like it would have been cool if they just showed those scenes if they were animated, just because this is it's an animated movie, so I thought it would have been cool to like bring that twist onto it. You know what I mean?
Right.
That way, it would have been cool to bring them into the movie as animated characters. Because then now you can't really bring them into the movie because then it's gonna look like fucking the Looney Tunes movie from 2003, and it's gonna look like Space Jam as well.
Who
Yeah.
Framed Roger Rabbit?
Rabbit, and that shit's gonna give me fucking anxiety, bro.
That movie
And
was fire though.
yeah, bro. Like,
Hey,
I don't
bro,
know.
if I get to see Toby suited up, even if it's drawn, I'm with it.
Yeah, I mean, did you guys feel also like I don't know if you guys thought I was tripping, but I felt like the Spot sounded a lot like Ryan Reynolds.
He had that
Nah.
He had that
Not for
Ryan
me.
Reynolds type of vibe.
He
I like
sounded,
these different variations of you guys.
That part
yeah,
right there when Spider Punk pulled up, that was like probably the closest thing. I honestly thought that was Ryan Reynolds. I really
but
thought.
yeah, but for me, man, I feel like we're definitely gonna get a live action Miles. We've seen the directors or the executives of Sony talk about that. That's something they want to do. I don't know if they'll introduce him to the MCU just because Sony and Marvel have this weird toxic relationship. You know what I mean?
Right.
Where it kind of seems like they only really work together because they're forced to work together. And I feel like Sony. Remember when Miles came out, it was because Sony owned the rights to Miles. They created Miles in a way,
Right.
So I feel like they feel like a more of a personal connection to Miles, and I definitely think they're gonna try to milk the character as much as they can.
Right.
Maybe all these movies coming out with Morbius and Craven and shit. Maybe that's his universe. We still don't know who Spider-Man's universe that is.
I mean, it's all gonna become all into one full circle
Connected
when this
one-
next movie comes
One
out.
day.
So everybody give the final thoughts. Eric, Brandon.
Can I give my final
Yeah,
thought?
yeah,
Real-
yeah. Go ahead. A quick final thoughts.
All right,
on the
bro.
movie.
Hold up, bro.
And your score.
Let,
Your final
let's be on. Okay, my score. I'll give it a 9.5 out of 10. But before anything,
9.5. All right.
how can you take how can you take this guy serious, bro? Like, hold up.
I can't
bro.
see it.
Yo, I swear to God, we can't see him though.
I think
How
if
can you take that? How can you take
Yo,
that guy serious, bro?
Stop.
How can you take that guy?
Stop. You
what
don't
a
understand.
a
bro.
monstrosity,
Monstrosity is you.
bro. He looks like a Nickelodeon Spider-Man. They don't even have that. I think
it's
bro.
a cartoon.
Nah, Nickelodeon did have a Spider-Man.
Oh, they did. I didn't know that. But bro, look at his head though, bro. Look at that. Look how weird it's shaped.
And
Bro.
he still pulls more girls than you though.
You need to
So I
stop
don't
talking.
know
You need to
what's
stop
the
talking about
issue.
heads, Germ.
He,
Because you're not gonna disrespect the goat like that at all.
I mean, that was a very
I'm not settling for it, bro.
Spider-Man too.
That was literally probably one of the best, my favorite parts of the movie.
But yeah,
I'm not gonna take that blasphemy, bro.
we've been talking about Sony and Spider-Man, and I feel like one thing, there was a lot of news that came out from especially Summer Game
Recently.
Fest. Summer Game
Yep.
Fest was yesterday. We got news from Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. We got stuff from Mortal Kombat, Prince of Persia, and obviously the best for the best is Spider-Man 2. So we got two screen captures, two stills. One with Craven and Miles and Peter fighting on the streets of New York.
Yeah.
And then it looks like the other one was Venom and Miles and Peter. Looked like the Venom was chasing Peter and Miles was trying to attack him. And then we saw we got a release date of October, what was it, 20th?
20th.
20th. Yeah.
And then the biggest bombshell, what I fucking loved about this presentation was he was just talking and dropping bombs like it was not a big deal. He was spoiling everything. He was like, he just out of nowhere he goes, and then I forget the guy that hosts Summer Game Fest. He's a really good guy.
GF Kelly.
Um,
GF Kelly or something.
Yeah,
GF.
he has a weird last name.
Yeah.
Gelig or some shit. He all of a sudden he goes, "Oh, that's Eddie Brock's Spider-Man, Venom, right?" He goes, "Oh no, that's Eddie Brock's Venom is not going to be in this."
Yeah.
Just dropped it out of nowhere.
Yeah.
So I wanted to talk to you guys about this. You guys are so well versed when it comes to these comics for Spider-Man. You guys played the game religiously. What are your opinions on the release date? This bombshell of news with Eddie Brock's Venom.
And, you want to go first? You want me to go first for this one?
Yeah, if you want.
Sorry.
No, you're good, Eric. Marco, just start it. I feel like.
Well, for me, first, I'm gonna say this. By far, the game of the show for me wasn't actually Spider-Man 2. It was Final Fantasy. But we are talking about Spider-Man 2.
I wanted you
to the Spider-Man 2, I'm very excited that, and also I'm excited for the release date, but it's also very fitting because this is a darker story. Apparently, they've been talking about how this is going to be like a lot more scary than the first game. So an October 20th release date is very fitting, especially if you're gonna have Venom.
Yeah, like 11 days before Halloween and shit.
Yeah, it's a very fitting release date. It gives them more time because the first one released in September. This is gonna release in October. So this
copy my Spider-Man costume for Halloween, by the way.
Yeah. So the concept art looked great. I thought Venom's design looked incredible. I love the way I love how big he looks. First of all, it reminds me a lot. Yeah, and a lot of this game, like a lot of what they show, I consistently get reminded of Spider-Man Web of Shadows, which is a game that Venom is the main villain in. And if you search up his Venom and you compare it to the Venom we're gonna see in this game, those two look like a lot similar. Obviously, the art style is different. This one's more realistic. The other one is a lot more stylistic. But no, I'm very excited. And another thing about this is that Eddie Brock is not gonna be in this game. So that leads me to wonder if this is going to be either Harry or Craven. Because it's not going to be Peter. I know there's been some like theories that, it can be Peter. The concept art kind of confirms it's not going to be.
It's Aunt May.
I've been hearing that
Aunt May's dead.
that'd be crazy.
It's Uncle Ben, for real.
I've been hearing a lot of noise about it being Craven.
It could be Craven. Who knows?
Especially.
Or Terry.
Yeah. Because I remember like in the teaser trailer.
Harry.
I remember in the teaser. Cherry. I remember in the teaser trailer that they released like way back when we first got to see Venom. It was like with Peter and Miles. I remember Venom had an accent, and if you heard in the trailer, like when we saw the Sony
the showcase,
was the Sony the showcase.
Yeah,
you hear Craven with a similar-ish type of accent. So that's why I personally believe it's Craven. Fucking Venom's huge anyway too, so Craven's another huge motherfucker. Was taking all the trend, you know. But yeah, that's where I go. I want to see how they do the whole Harry storyline because I remember like in the last Spider-Man, like at the end, you see Harry like in that big like aquarium looking ass shit in the lab.
The hyperbolic team.
Yeah, bro, motherfucker was he was training with Mister Purple and shit for real.
Yeah.
But yeah, I want to see what they do for that man. You know, like how are they gonna like go from Harry and then leave it off and like see if he's like Venom or like if Craven ends up taking Venom. You know, because that's like the whole Craven thing is that he's like a hunter. You know, like if Venom's not even from this world. So imagine like he like takes a fucking alien shit. That's like his prized possession now. So I want to see how they're gonna do that.
Yeah, so I wanted to talk to you guys about a couple of things. The first one being, um, all three of you. So, as we know, Craven's he's a little bit of a freak. He's into bestiality and shit like that. He's one of these characters that he's very primordial. He believes in like his instincts. And I feel like once he finds out about the symbiote, it's why, remember Venom in the comics and the animated shows and all that, he's very animalistic. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I feel it'd be dope to see that come out due to Craven. You know what I mean? Like it would make sense why you would get that point of view from like this wild like man. Um, so I'm definitely interested in that. I definitely feel like it is Craven. One thing that I want to ask you guys is, do you think the way that Across the Spider Verse had this sense of importance to it, where it had to be better than the first one? Do you think this game has that sense of urgency and importance as well?
There's a lot of
Yeah,
expectations
for
for
sure.
this to be better than the first
Yeah,
game,
of
and I do
course.
think it's gonna be better than the first game.
Yeah,
I do too.
and what's beautiful is the fact that this game is coming out in a year where we have
In
Final
a
Fantasy.
year, in a couple months.
I'm saying in a year that we have
Okay.
we had Final Fantasy 16 come out. What's another game that came out this year?
Zelda.
I'm trying to remember.
Yeah,
Zelda.
Zelda's coming out.
No, it came out and
Alan
Dead
Wake.
Island.
I think Alan Wake. I think Alan
Dead
Wake comes
Island.
out this year. I think Alan Wake comes out this year.
Alan Wake 2 is another one. We had Resident Evil 4 come out, the remake. There was a bunch of games that came out that look really really good, and it's really dope to see how the studio at Insomniac just really don't seem that
Phase.
world. They're in their own world. They're kind of like, it's like when Kanye or Drake or J Cole come out. They could come out the same day as fucking Taylor Swift. They're gonna outsell them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But one thing I was gonna ask you guys, I feel like this is gonna be a trilogy game. I feel like this is gonna end with Green Goblin
Yeah, I 100% believe
I
that.
want to see. Yeah,
because
I do too.
the first game had almost all of his gallery of villains,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
and then the second one, the only other villain that's as big as Venom is Green Goblin.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So I definitely think it's gonna be three.
They could do Carnage for the next game.
I would do
I
Carnage. That'd be pretty interesting.
don't know. I'm just kind of. I mean, you could do Carnage and Green Goblin because remember there is a Red Goblin, which is
Yeah.
because Green. And that would be insane. That's like that right there is like that'll instill fear into us as gamers. But you are right though. I love how he came out during it's coming out during the fall during October because there's a sense of like a sci-fi horror film aspect to this one. They were crawling through like the hallways and shit,
The alley.
Yeah.
and they were
Yeah.
looking. They built up suspense, but one thing I wanted
I
to
want to see
ask
how
you guys
the lizard looks. Real. Like
Lizard looks
I want to see
great.
how that fight is.
because
Yeah, he looks like Godzilla and shit.
Yeah, and the other thing I was gonna ask you guys in the first game, there's the Avengers Tower.
Mm-hmm.
The Avengers Tower is there. I was gonna ask you guys, do you think we're gonna get a Sony verse for video games? Like an Insomniac verse. I didn't mean Sony verse. Insomniac.
Mm,
'Cause
I
we're
feel like
getting more-
certain characters are gonna be, but not like an entire like Marvel whole thing. But like, I feel like they're gonna do some type of iteration for that.
I doubt they're gonna do Avengers. I think that what they're gonna do is, I think they're gonna finish the trilogy and they're gonna move on to other characters. But you're gonna see that iteration of Spider-Man pop up in other people's games.
That's That's
Yeah,
So you're gonna see a Wolverine game. I think you're gonna see
Fantastic Four game for sure.
you could see a Fantastic Four game from them. You can also see a
I
Punisher
could,
game,
but at the
maybe.
same time, I don't know.
also
I just-
X-Men.
X-Men, you can
Oh,
see that.
X-Men,
The thing is
for
that
sure.
I think though, after the Spider-Man
It depends
trilogy,
on what characters it is, though.
after the Spider-Man
But then they're
trilogy,
gonna work mainly on the Wolverine shit.
I don't know if they're gonna. I think after the Spider-Man trilogy is done, I think they should stop making Spider-Man games and focus on other characters. And if they want, they can have Spider-Man, their iteration, pop up in other games, right? But I think
Yeah,
after
for
that, you
sure.
should
Yeah.
give Spider-Man to another developer. I think, because I think what's great about Spider-Man games and especially and also Batman games is that like it's not just one developer. It's a whole bunch of developers that are
Yeah, it's
making games.
multiple.
After the trilogy,
Yeah,
I think they
and-
should just give it to another developer and if they want an iteration of other games, they can do that. You know?
Yeah, Spider-Man's had the most games for Marvel too.
Oh yeah, by far.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
they need a
those are
little bit of a
moneymakers,
break
for
and
sure.
yeah, but they need a little bit of a break though. What about the other fans for everything else? You know, I think
Yeah,
a
I
little bit
mean-
of diversity,
Homie,
of
if
something
it ain't
different.
broke, don't fix it.
I mean,
Different
I
is
know-
yeah, but different is always good as well. You know.
I'm not gonna lie, there could be a possibility it gets to a point where people do get a little bit of spider fatigue. It is possible.
if
It's
if if,
possible.
if the products become mediocre, then yeah, you're gonna see it. But as long as the products are
Yeah,
high quality,
100%.
then we're not gonna see it yet. It's what
They're
happened
gonna
with the
want
MCU, right? Like the MCU was releasing like 3 movies a year during Phase 3, but it didn't matter because everybody was like happy with them. It wasn't until Phase 4 that the products become mediocre, and so people just stopped caring.
Mid.
Yeah,
I couldn't be happy with the amount of people that are shitting on fucking Thor and Taika.
it's like,
Fuck that movie was so ass.
but
That
are you
movie-
happy? Are you happy that they're doing that or no?
Yeah, of course they shat on that movie. They deserve to shit on that movie. That
Mm.
movie said that movie and Ant-Man and She-Hulk set Marvel back 12 years, bro.
Oh.
And
Those
Dr.
movies
May.
was so bad from what I heard.
Doctor Strange wasn't that bad. Sam Raimi brought a lot
No,
of
it was. Yes, it was. Bro.
I think though, I think they're
I'll
gonna
say
pick
this,
it up
listen,
though.
listen.
I think Secret Invasion is gonna really pick up that
Listen,
story
I'll
though.
watch Doctor Strange 5 times before I watch Thor again.
I
And
agree.
what's crazy is that this Thor was gonna be the biggest Thor to ever come out. It was supposed to be so good. People were so thirsty for it.
It would have made
People
a
were
billion.
gonna-
Had
The
it been
thing is-
great, it would have made a billion. Had it
Yeah.
been
The
great.
thing is that they make him too funny, bro. They should have made him more serious.
It's too
You know,
silly.
like-
Too silly.
Is that I think
Yeah,
think
they
Ty-
should have given him like a depression arc. You know.
Taika's just such a overrated director. I really do. Like he doesn't. He had that one good movie where I forget the Hitler movie.
We're talking about Jojo Rabbit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and after that, like the guy, he's supposed to be. You know, there was a report that came out. I think he talked about it himself, where this fucker is in charge of a Star Wars movie. I'm sorry, I shouldn't be saying these things, but he was in charge of a. They made him a director for a Star Wars movie, and this guy asked Natalie Portman if she wanted to be in a Star Wars movie.
Oh, I
What
get
the
what you
fuck?
mean. I know what you mean.
Yeah, and then like Taika's one of these people. If you go on Twitter
Hey,
for
Brandon,
some
you know what he's
reason,
talking about, right? I'm sorry to cut you off. Brandon, you know what he's talking about, right?
Yeah.
I know
She
what
was
you're talking
Padme.
Yeah.
yeah,
I
the
know.
like the finest Star Wars character of all time, the finest. And then on top of that, let's talk about this. That man, the amount of people that defend him on Twitter is like the same amount of people that defend Zack Snyder. They're like these, like they have like this cult of followers that makes me so scared. It's like the amount of people that support Ariana Grande and Taylor Swift. That shit, you can't even say anything bad about them because you'll get destroyed.
No, they're gonna shit on us now because of
Yeah.
Twitter.
Yeah, and the other thing, I know we talked about how Spider-Man was presented at Summer Game Fest, but I wanted to know, did you guys were able to see anything that came with Final Fantasy VII, that trailer?
Oh my god, that trailer is incredible. I loved it. I already said it before. The first game, I remember playing it a few years back, and I loved every second of it. I remember I binged the entire game in like a week. This game,
Yeah.
I'm in like probably behind it. It comes out next year, so I think it might be my most anticipated game of next year. I'm very excited to play that game. I can't wait to play it. The game looks incredible. I can't wait to see where Cloud's story goes next. But yeah, no, that's pretty much my thoughts on Final Fantasy. Gameplay looks incredible.
What about you, Cam?
Yeah, just how Marco was saying, pretty much like Cloud's whole story and all that shit. Even though I know it's for Final Fantasy 16, like I'm always gonna say Final Fantasy 7 is my favorite one for me personally, just for my own personal things. But yeah, I want to see how they do this because since they had Zack Fair in the game and shit, right? And he had lived, right? I didn't get to beat the game.
Well, so the theory is that Zack surviving fucks up the timeline.
Yeah, it does.
That
'Cause I
supposedly
remember playing Crisis 4 like on the PSP, and I want to see how that goes.
and in the trailer, Sephiroth tells Tifa, "I already killed her, so why are you here? Like, why are you alive?"
Yeah.
And I think what happened, and in the trailer they also show that it looks like they almost died. Um, so I think the theory I have here is that they're in an alternate timeline, or they're in a yeah. And I just feel like it just becomes a shit show. They also said this game is going to be 2 discs. That's how long it's going to be. So
I haven't seen one of those in a long time.
yeah, that's like going back to like PlayStation 2 type of days.
Remember like when Call of Duty used to have,
PS1,
was it Call of Duty? We used to have like the download disc, and then we had the play disc.
Yeah, so that's a theory that they might do that. My theory is that we're gonna be able to play as Cloud in one disc and then Zack as the other because I think that'd be beautiful because as you guys know, Cloud has this thing in his mind where everything he went through, he thinks he experienced it, but it was actually Zack.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think this is one game I'm really excited about. Final Fantasy 16 comes out in a week and a half. That's the one game I'm gonna fucking binge it to death to the point where I'm gonna be crying tears of joy. There's so much to that game that I'm so excited for. But Summer Game Fest, I thought it shat on the PlayStation Showcase in the sense of it put effort. This was the largest Summer Game Fest of all time in terms across the board of live streams, people in attendance. Um, Not a lot of interesting stuff came out outside of Mortal Kombat, Prince of Persia, Spider-Man, Final Fantasy. But I wish this is what the PlayStation Showcase was like. A live crowd, presenting games
I
and
miss
just
that so much. Yeah.
yeah. Summer Game Fest felt very nostalgic for me. I was like, I just thought about E3 the whole time.
They definitely took advantage of the PlayStation Showcases
Yeah,
performance. So
yeah.
Shit performance. Yeah.
Kit.
Emphasize that.
Yeah, it definitely felt like Summer Game Fest was catered to the fans. There's nothing better than when you're watching E3 and whenever they would announce a game that you're hyped about, you hear the other people in the crowd going, "Oh!"
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that's always been the dopest thing to fucking hear because it just makes you feel connected. But yeah, I feel like more or less we got a lot of stuff to look forward to. Um, you know, we got CM Punk returning this month. We have the AEW video game coming out, Final Fantasy 16 coming out. Flash comes out next week. Transformers is coming out this week. It already came out today, actually. So we got a lot of stuff going on. But before we end the podcast, I wanted to ask you boys, uh, what is your favorite version of Spider-Man? It could be an iteration.
Is this a topic of the podcast? The topic of the day? Of the week?
Yes, sir. I
Okay.
wanted to ask you guys.
All right.
So it could be anything from your favorite version of Spider-Man, like Toby, or Andrew, or Tom, or it could be your favorite iteration, like Miguel's or Miles, or even Spider-Ham, Spider-Man Noir, whatever you guys think.
Okay. Brandon, I think you should start this
Marco?
one off.
Well,
Yep.
I'm not gonna be biased, but
Basic, Basic.
We all is not basic. It's called being based. That's what it
Base.
is. No, it's called being. So I have two. I have two of my
Nah,
favorite iterations.
no.
Fuck you.
You have to pick one, bro.
Yeah, you gotta pick one. You can't be doing
You
this
have to
shit. You
pick
don't.
one.
Yes, bro. Spider-Man doesn't get what he wants. You can't get what you want either. With great power comes great responsibility.
If anything, he can say both and then choose one. No, of the two.
And when I
Nah.
saw my uncle,
Nah, I'm gonna do things my way. Anyway,
Yeah, I hate that.
so
I'm
So-
tired of having everyone tell me how to write my own story. Nah,
Nah.
I'm gonna do my own thing.
I'm gonna do both.
Go ahead.
So, for sure, we all know all-time favorite for me is always gonna be Toby, just
Go.
for my own like nostalgia. Yeah, bro. You know, Toby's the shit, bro.
Go,
This is
Like
what Toby
is the
looks.
blueprint.
This is what Toby looks like every time he's sad.
go. I don't care. He's a goat.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, I don't care. Yeah.
that face was Aladdin's
Like I
brothers.
So, for me personally, Toby is the blueprint for me. I think every time they make like a really good like Spider-Man, everybody's always comparing. Oh, but was he better than Toby though? And obviously,
Yeah.
like
He's
Toby's the
stand-
shit, bro. He is like Toby is like the blueprint of Spider-Man. Every
But
time
that's-
you think of Spider-Man,
I love
everybody
you,
always.
Grace.
That's nostalgia.
Yo, we're not talking. Yeah, bro. So for me, Tobey Maguire's like Sam Raimi Spider-Man is always gonna be my favorite one. Obviously, I'm, still very bummed out. Probably like in another universe, that motherfucker like of me striving, watching Spider-Man 4 that came out.
I'm gonna throw dirt in your eye.
On God, bro, fucking Billy Maguire, you feel me? But nah, in all seriousness, no though. Yeah, for me, Tobey Maguire's always gonna be my favorite one. Like he's the blueprint for most things. Like if you see, there's some scenes in Spectacular Spider-Man that they literally just copied and pasted and just animated it from Tobey's movie.
I agree.
So for me, it's that. Yeah, that's why I was gonna say I'm gonna do two. Spectacular Spider-Man would have been my,
Your second option.
other person.
Okay.
Yeah, like in terms of animated Spider-Man, that's
Right.
my goat.
Okay.
I respect
Him
it.
or the '90s Spider-Man, one of the two.
I
But
feel
For sure.
90 Spider-Man. I think Spectacular Spider-Man was really good at fitting the Peter Parker trope. I felt like the one thing I enjoyed about that movie was I felt like we got more Peter Parker than actual Spider-Man, and I really liked that because of the fact that it really made you feel bad for Peter. Like you really sympathized for Peter the character, and then it made it really powerful when he got the Venom suit. When he got that suit, it was like a switch of a character. I felt like the 90s Spider-Man was good, but it really felt more like of a kid's show to me. I never felt like the attachment emotionally I did that when I did the Spectacular.
those
But,
three Spider-Man are my pinnacles. Just for my own reason, which we'll discuss maybe in another time or another episode.
Yeah,
But yeah, that's for me though. It's always gonna be Tobey and like Sam Raimi Spider-Man.
What about you,
It's always gonna
Marvel?
be a special heart.
I agree with Brandon in that like my top three are the '90s Spectacular and Toby, but Spectacular Spider-Man is
Ace.
fucking incredible. I loved every single episode. He is the Riz God. Like this motherfucker.
Josh Keaton.
This guy
Goat.
managed to like bag 5 girls in like 26 episodes. And
He caught the Latino.
and part of that he wasn't even trying. Like he was just that guy. You feel me? And it's such a shame that they canceled.
Him.
He's him. Yeah, you're right. And it's such a shame that they canceled after like 2 seasons. And it wasn't. It was because Disney bought the rights to Spider-Man. Like every other rights besides the film rights. The film rights stayed with Sony. But yo, Disney ruins everything. But whatever. That's besides the point.
Oh,
Yo,
God.
Joe, we're gonna be banned from going to the theme parks.
Fuck the parks.
Fucking own everything, bro.
But yeah, no, it's just that's kind of like I remember I grew up with that cartoon and it was a shame that they canceled it. I remember I was so mad.
It was really ahead of its time.
It was ahead of its
It
time.
was.
All the villains were like well developed. The animation was very like good. The actual like in terms of fluidity, like if you see the action scenes, it's very
I really felt
fluid.
bad.
Yeah,
I felt bad.
exactly. Like the voice acting was great. The action was incredible. The dialogue was like for a cartoon show, it was very well done. But
Yeah,
yeah, I'm gonna have to
and
go with him.
especially this came out in 2008.
Yeah, it came out in
Especially
2008.
since that movie, shoot, yeah, came out
Yeah,
2008.
I'm gonna go.
I think it was,
I'm gonna go with him.
I think it was one of the first animated shows, the first superhero show on Disney XD.
Yeah, my second option would be the other goat.
The King.
That's for another topic. We'll talk about that guy.
And what about Jeremy?
I grew like this crazy fascination with Spider Punk when I was watching that movie this past weekend. I just think he's so fucking cool. He's so cool. And then like I don't know, Daniel Kaluuya really set the tone for even though he wasn't there as I've hoped he would have been watching the movie like a second time. I don't know. I just like his I don't care attitude. His same with Miles. I'm gonna do my own thing, and I don't care what anybody says. And like in a way, like I think I know this has nothing to do with what we're talking about now, but in the next movie, I think Hobie's really gonna be a real big mentor to Miles. Um,
Was he on the roof towards the
Yeah,
end?
yeah, he was. He
yeah, he
was.
was
Yeah.
on the roof towards the end, but he's just so cool. And then he just came in, and broke through that shield with his powers. And like, remember, right when he met Miles, he's like, "Don't use the palm of your hands, not just the tip of your fingers." Like that, I just found it so cool. I just love his attitude. I love his enthusiasm. I just love how intricate he is. And
Jeremy brought
yeah,
up a really good point, which was Daniel Kaluuya. I think is the most underrated actor of our generation.
for
He's
sure,
incredible. Incredible.
he played that role perfect. I think
He's
that
one
was
of
the perfect character for him.
he's one of those where I feel like he could be any. He could play Jon Stewart as Green Lantern. He could fucking play Michael Jordan. He could play whoever, and you just believe it. You know what I mean?
He's
Yeah,
great.
for
He's
sure.
freaking great.
He,
And
he could.
I wish he was a little bit. I wish he had a little bit more screen time and a little bit. I wish he was a little bit more involved in the movie. But
We'll
just
get
like
that.
just like the character, like Spider Punk don't really care. Like
I think we're gonna get him more in this next movie coming out.
no, for sure. I think he's
Yeah.
gonna get double his screen time for sure.
Oh yeah, 100%.
But if I have to pick from like the regular live action, I'd
No,
probably
it's anybody. It's anybody. If it's Spider
Like
Punk,
Like you're
it's Spider
all,
Punk.
yeah.
Yeah, up to you. Doesn't matter what
I'll say-
iteration, animated, live.
I'll say his iteration Spider Punk and special shout out to the T Rex Spider Man, bro. I forgot the name. He has like a specific name, but I forgot
Isn't
it.
it-
I remember Marco, the movie theater. Can this get any worse? Fucking see the dinosaur in the back and fucking Marco.
Oh yeah, I'm
Just
like, yo,
laugh.
it's a dinosaur. What do you want me to say?
I
Like,
fucking love that, bro.
Too bad. Yeah, I mean, for me, there's one Spider-Man that has a special place in my heart. It was actually the first superhero movie that I actually ever cried in. Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man to me is the best Spider-Man of all time. I think out of all three Spider-Man, I think he's the best actor. I think for me, there was one scene that really shows how much they cared about making him look like Spider-Man. There was a scene where he had all his webs placed in different parts of the tunnel
oh,
under the suit,
yeah, I know what you mean.
and he just crawls on it, and it really made you feel like he was a spider. And for me personally speaking, he was just so easy to root for, like Toby. Like Toby,
Yeah.
that's the thing about Peter Parker that makes people fall in love with Spider-Man is Peter Parker. It's not really the superhero per se; it's the person behind the mask. And it's just the fact that he's the type of person that he always deals with adversity. There's always something that happens in his life. You know what I mean?
For sure.
This is a character that loses Gwen. He loses his Uncle Ben. He doesn't know what happens to his parents. And I just really enjoyed Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man 2 because also they had some really dope songs on that movie's track that movie album. Like
Yeah.
that's what got me into the neighborhood. They had that song Honest. That
Yeah.
shit was so good. Spider-Man, that Spider-Man was an emotional roller coaster, and I felt like it was the most emotional out of all three, in my eyes. And especially that scene where you think he catches Gwen, and then you hear the smack, and then you end up seeing that she
Yeah.
died. That shit was powerful. I just think they fucked up with what they did with the Goblin. I feel like there was so much potential there, and they just made that shit look like the bottom of a fucking all pair of all white Crocs. Dirty as fuck. They did that shit dirty as fuck, bro. But
For
but
sure.
yeah,
That was a
I
good
do agree
episode.
with you on that one though, for sure.
I have to
Yeah, because
rewatch.
I when you see the whole like Andrew Garfield like Spider Man, you see him like and you're like, okay, this motherfucker is like built like Spider Man, you know, because Spider Man's supposed to be like tall and lanky, you know, like not lanky but like very like mobile, you know, like he's able to like fucking like do all these crazy shits, which I agree with you on that one, Eric, for sure.
yeah, he was such a dope Spider-Man for me, and I love how he interacted with kids, like in that scene where the bridge was like literally tumbling, and that scene with towards the end where he's about to face Rhino,
Yeah.
and he sees the little kid and he gives him the mask. Like that to me,
Yeah.
I personally think out of all three, Tom Harland's Spider-Man is at the bottom.
Or me too. Yeah, 100%.
Same.
Not
Like
because he's a
I
bad
was gonna
actor.
mention that. Yeah, I know what you mean. But it hasn't given us that like feel of like relatableness, like how Andrew and Toby did. Like
But I
I
think they might
personally, if
get
it was
there.
up to me, yeah, I think so too. With Spider Man 4 gonna come out with him or whatever they plan on doing.
Yeah, they
What
announced the title.
I
It's in
personally
production.
do,
They said it's in production already, but it halted
yeah.
because
But
of the whole.
Tom's gonna take a year off apparently. I
That yeah,
saw
and
that like
I think
today.
that's because he knows that we're not gonna get Spider-Man in production at all in 2023.
Yeah, at all.
For
But
sure.
yeah, if I had to order how they made the order in Spider-Man No Way Home, I would have done like the way they had it. You know, Toby would have been Spider-Man 1, then Andrew, and then Tom technically. Because if you see them, you're gonna be like, okay, this guy's older. He's like a little bit older than me, and then this guy, you know, I'm the youngest one out of the three Spider-Man.
I thought
I
it would
That's
definitely
how
think
I would have done it personally.
I
But I
definitely think
get what I get why they did it though, because like it's Tom's movie, you know, all that shit.
I definitely feel like Tom is gonna be a lot more lovable or relatable in these next three because this is definitely gonna be a more adult setting. You know what I mean? He's
I
gonna
hope
be in
so.
college.
Yeah,
Life didn't his the only person left in his life died after Iron Man. His best friends don't even know him. His girl doesn't know him. We're gonna definitely maybe get an introduction to Gwen. Remember the Venom
yeah,
symbiote is in this, and one thing I
When
one thing I enjoyed about No Way Home was I felt like Andrew got like redeemed in the sense that his character
yeah.
was
He
done.
did.
That movie was he was done so dirty as a person when it came to the actual Spider-Man trilogy that he was promised, and I just feel like out of all Spider-Man, I know Toby was the one that got the loudest pop and cheer in the
The
movie,
blueprint.
but
Hell yeah.
I do feel like Andrew throughout No Way Home got the most shine in my eyes. Like
Yeah.
that scene where he caught MJ was so beautiful because you saw like he got these tears in his eyes and it brought back what he couldn't do in the past.
I will say like
Oh
after No
yeah,
Way
buddy, the goat.
I hate
After No Way Home came out, I saw like a lot of Andrew Love everywhere. So I agree with you.
he's so
Yeah, that I agree with.
Wait, like
The sad thing-
that's unexpected. I saw a lot of Andrew like Garfield. Like people started loving his interpretation.
yeah. People were talking about
Bro,
how they wanted him
I
to get his final movie.
his third movie. Yeah, I always liked him. I was
'cause
like,
there's
when I
only
remember when the movies came out. Yeah, I remember when the movie came out. I was like a little like, oh, he's not gonna do better than Toby. Blah blah. Like this was like me, like at like what, like 13, 12 years old, because the movie came out. The first one came out in 2012, and then the second one came out in 2014. So I was 13 when the first one came out, and then I was 15 when the second one came out. I remember when seeing the first time, like in movie theater. I went to go see it with my dad. Um,
I don't
I
have one.
thought he was good.
Mm-hmm.
It's
You thought he was
okay.
good?
Not neither does Peter Parker. It's okay.
Oh yeah.
And we maybe Miles Morales in the next movie. We don't know yet. But yeah, as far as like like how he was, I think he was a great Spider-Man. Andrew Garfield for sure was a great Spider-Man. 100%. I never hated him. I don't know who the fuck were the people that were hating on him. Like I think it's the same type of like reaction, like how they did with Anakin.
Oh yeah.
It was the same type of hate. And then like later on when you see like they kind of like they're like, yo, he wasn't that bad. Like I don't know where the hate was.
Which is funny because he's the most comic accurate version, personality wise, Spider-Man. Like when it comes to Spider-Man.
Because he has the angst. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
The thing, yeah.
yeah. I definitely think we've been blessed with a bunch of good Spider-Man for sure.
I hope we can say the same for Superman in the future.
Man,
On God.
Right?
We've only had two good Supermen.
I mean, I'll be honest with you guys. Superman is such a poorly written character, and that man has no development. It's like fucking watching Luffy throughout 3,000 episodes
Alright.
and 40 million chapters.
Alright.
The guy has been around for
Hey, but don't worry,
we're
man.
gonna get
After the 3,000 episodes, finally the fifth gear.
it gets
Yeah,
Yay.
yeah.
Bro, I remember
the
nerd.
second, third, and fourth gear. Come on.
All these nerd. Yo, stop, bro.
One Piece
After
fans are-
after
You haven't
80,000
seen One
episodes, bro,
Piece.
the best gear out of all of them, bro.
what do you mean?
About second gear is
Listen,
fire.
yo, okay, first of all, One Piece is the equivalent of Nintendo fans. They're insufferable. They fucking stay low
More
for
like
some
Nintendo
shit.
dogs, bro.
It takes 10 years for some shit to be revealed on fucking One Piece, and that shit doesn't even break the internet. Oh my god, I knew it was gonna happen all along. Theory, everything's a fucking theory, bro.
Theory.
Yeah, man, it reminds me
the
of when
thing
all
I
these...
get mad about.
What's
About
wrong with,
One Piece
I love
fans?
One Piece.
I remember somebody posted a post. I don't know if it was on Instagram or Twitter. I forgot which one of the two. But they were talking about like most popular transformations of all time in anime. Clearly, we all know. What's the most like everybody knows what's the most iconic transformation. Now, I don't have to say it. We all know which one it is. It's Goku. The most iconic transformation when he turned Super Saiyan 1 for the first time against Frieza. The music in the background, the anger, everything, the scenery, everything in that that little transformation was the best thing, and it has yet to be topped. Maybe because of like the time period and like because it was like the first real transformation, like an anime really like got popularized.
Bro.
As far as like fucking Monkey D. Goofy getting his fucking fifth gear, I don't give a fuck what fucking One Piece character has to say.
Bro,
Like,
8,000
they're not-
episodes,
it's
and
not
he only
gonna
has
top that
5.
shit.
Ariana Grande,
Yeah, bro.
Ariana Grande fans, Taylor Swift fans, fucking
One Piece fans, you guys are all the same. I don't
Hey,
care if you
they're
guys
all-
attack us.
all the fucking same, and they're so
We're coming
annoying.
for you.
They're so. How the fuck, yo? First of all, One Piece is the Disney of fucking anime. It's the
I
Disney
love
of
One
anime.
Piece.
Yeah, go ahead and try to watch the first 10 episodes, and you tell me that's the best fucking animation you've ever
It
seen.
should put me to sleep.
Oh, it's from the 90s. I don't give a fuck if it's from the 90s. I've seen fuck.
Oh, Dragon Ball Z.
Dragon Ball Z was
90s.
from fucking 1988. I wasn't even thought of, bro. My mom barely graduated high school. On top
Bro,
of that, Cowboy
Dragon Ball
Bebop
Z came out like, yeah, exactly, bro.
yeah, bro.
So
And
I
then
don't
on
want
top
to hear,
of that,
oh, is the animation changed? No, I
I'd
don't
rather
care,
watch
bro. I don't
Boku no
care.
Pico than watch One Piece, bro. No cap.
Stop.
Yeah, and
One
on
Piece
top
is
of that-
goated.
oh, One Piece is carried by all the fucking side characters. If I want to see side characters, I'd fucking watch an episode of Friends. I don't want to see no fucking side characters. I'm here to watch real shit, grown man
Chop it up
shit.
with Usopp.
I'm here trying to see Eren Yeager terrorize people's lives because they did him dirty. He has that Black Air Force energy. I'm in here to see Ichigo take people's heads because they did him dirty. I'm here to see Naruto talk no jutsu and fucking convince people to be on his side. I'm here
I
to see
want to see
fucking
Luffy.
But we want to see Luffy look for a treasure that takes like 8,000 episodes to look for. Like, how hard is it to find a fucking treasure? How hard is it to find gold,
It's
bro?
a massive world. All right.
Oh,
all right.
it's not so good, but his fucking outfit looks like a Karen's outfit. Jean shorts, a red button-up, and slides. He's fucking
That's in the
dressed like Ellen
beginning.
DeGeneres.
That's in the beginning. All
No,
you see every
man.
is drip. What are you
He
talking
only
about?
looked good after the time skip. When he had that scar. Other than that, he looks like a clown.
He's dressed like Ellen DeGeneres in fucking Cabo, bro. Fucking
Alright.
joke.
All right.
And don't even get me started on.
Motherfucker's built like a pencil, bro.
And don't get me started on. The only reason I'm excited for
White ass
Superman
pencil.
is the only reason I'm excited for Superman is because James Gunn is actually gonna do the character right. But if I get one more fucking cow-licked geriatric Superman who fucking eats at diners and helps people cross the street and do
What if
bingo,
James Gunn plays as Superman?
Stop.
that was so. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. But I think that's enough for today. I think we've all said what we had to say. This was a great episode, guys. I think we all
Good
had,
episode.
for sure. Any final thoughts? I think you know
Well,
what? No,
Brandon.
everybody.
Brandon.
No,
Fuck
I
One
don't think you
Piece.
guys deserve final thoughts because you guys diss One Piece.
Yo, shut up! One Piece ass.
Actually, fuck One Piece, bro. It's a 3-1 count, bro.
Yo, it's the
Fuck
same
One
way.
Piece.
It's the exact same way when fucking Nintendo comes to E3 and they
Alright.
present a fucking character from a video game that ain't
Yeah,
nobody.
fucking glue eaters. Glue
Yeah.
eaters.
Thank you guys. All right, thank you guys so much for watching. This is Marble signing out. You guys can follow me on TikTok and Twitter at DCS Marble, the Cul-Ture-Sac Marble. That's gonna be the anagram. But yeah, you guys can follow. Stop. I'm just
Dude, you
kidding,
know I
I'm
like
just
doing my
kidding.
fucking funny things. Bye, guys.
I'm just
Please,
kidding. Well,
please subscribe, like, and share the video, and post everything on IG.
I don't know. I'm just trying to. Yo,
You can also follow me on my YouTube channel called Marble. That's it for me. All right, Jeremy, if you want to sign out, you can do it right now. Hurry up.
Peace out, subscribe, and remember one love.
Alright, guys. This was a great fucking podcast. Except for the thing that Jeremy just did. But, yeah, guys. Really, just watch the video, just subscribe to us. We'll have more videos out and shit. I think it was a pretty great podcast about how we were talking about Spider-Man. One last thing, Spectacular Spider-Man, the fucking GOAT, fuck Jeremy, I don't give a fuck what the fuck he has to say with that fat ass fucking head. Alright. God. Eric,
Bro.
I don't know. I'm just trying to process what everything that just
Eric's trying
happened.
to process. I'll say bye to Eric for you guys.
Listen, find me on YouTube, The Puerto Reaper. We're out here making content. We're gonna take over the world. Welcome to the Cul-Ture-Sac, your favorite part of the neighborhood. With that being said, we're out.
Bye, guys.
The parade inside my city.